18 years ago, a cataclysmic event shook the world. In an instant, a towering structure materialized from thin air, bringing with it a mysterious gate that unleashed monstrous beings into our realm. Chaos ensued, and humanity found itself in a desperate struggle for survival, but amid the turmoil, something extraordinary occurred. People began awakening to newfound powers, becoming what the world would come to know as players. These gifted individuals were humanity's glimmer of hope, rising to the challenge and becoming a powerful new force to reckon with. They became symbols of wealth and admiration, celebrated as heroes, yet, our main protagonist, whose name is yet to be revealed, was never granted the privilege of choice. Instead, we find him diligently working a part-time job as a food delivery person. Today, he enters the Grand Guild Company building, carrying trays of delicious meals to serve the customers. A man in a sharp suit greets him, directing him to place the food on the designated table. Sorry for being late, our protagonist apologizes as he serves the hungry patrons, urging them to enjoy their meals. As he makes his way back to the restaurant on his trusty scooter, his attention is drawn to a massive billboard displaying the newest hero, Yusikwu. This remarkable individual, aged 18, possesses the rare ability to freeze his adversaries, making defeating them a breeze. Yusikwu is what they call an innate ability user, a player with a cheat-like power, deemed vastly superior to regular players. His daydream is interrupted by an impatient honk from the car behind him. Apologizing once again, our protagonist resumes his journey, navigating through the bustling city streets. Nightfall arrives, and he finally returns to his humble abode. The sight of an overflowing mailbox fills him with anticipation, hoping to find a coveted player invitation letter. However, reality delivers a harsh blow, as he discovers letters demanding loan repayments and hospital bills, but no invitation letter in sight. Disappointed, he lets out a sigh, wondering when his chance will come. With a heavy heart, our protagonist enters the house, greeted warmly by his younger sister. Grateful for his hard work, she shares that she was up doing homework and that their mother is sleeping more peacefully than usual. This news brings a sense of relief to our protagonist's troubled mind. Concerned about their mother's well-being, he starts to inquire if his sister gave her a massage, but before he could finish, she whispers, "Happy birthday." In her hands, she presents a delightful chocolate cake adorned with 18 glowing candles. It's a heartfelt surprise, and our protagonist is taken aback by his sister's thoughtfulness. Amid the celebration, he can't help but ask where she got the money for the cake, considering the funds he gave her for new clothes. His sister denies using the money for the cake, but he can see through her fib as her clothes are tattered. She insists she had money and playfully threatens to eat the entire cake if he won't join her, calling out her name. Yujong, our protagonist, thanks her sincerely, cherishing this unexpected gesture from his little sister. However, before they dive into the sweet treat, she hands him an envelope, suggesting they read the letter first. Thinking it's one of the birthday letters she wrote for him, he opens it and is left utterly shocked. It's a player invitation letter from the Players Association, a dream come true. Speechless and overwhelmed, he finally received what he had been longing for. The letter confirmed that he was indeed a player, someone with extraordinary abilities. His sister confesses that she secretly retrieved the letter from the mailbox to surprise him. Overjoyed, she congratulates her older brother, wrapping him in a warm embrace. Filled with hope and determination, our protagonist believes this is his chance to change their lives for the better. However, as he quietly opens the door to his mother's bedroom, where her frail form lies in bed, he contemplates what lies ahead. The player life offers great promise, but what he desires most is to find a way to heal his mother's illness. Excitement and determination surged through Kim Giju as he stood outside the Grand Korea Players Association building, ready to embark on his journey. Suppressing his emotions, he knew this was just the beginning of something extraordinary. As he entered the building, a friendly receptionist greeted him with a warm good morning. Introducing himself as Kim Giju, he followed her instructions, uttering the words "status window." In an instant, a pop-up window materialized, displaying his name and level 1 status. However, next to his innate ability, there were question marks, indicating it hadn't been revealed yet. Curious, he inquired about this to the receptionist, with a smile. She congratulated him on being an innate ability user, but the specifics remained a mystery for now. Kim Giju was overjoyed. Not only was he now a player, but he also possessed an extraordinary, godlike innate ability. His hands trembled with excitement as he rechecked the status window, confirming the truth of his newfound powers. Unbeknownst to him, another player had overheard their conversation from afar. As the receptionist assured him that a trainer would be arriving shortly to provide detailed guidance, the stranger approached them. To everyone's surprise, the mysterious player turned out to be none other than Yusikwa, the esteemed hero with the freezing ability. Both Kim Giju and the receptionist were taken aback by Yusikwa's sudden appearance. Ever confident, Yusikwa asked the receptionist if he could be Kim Giju's guide, having overheard their discussion unintentionally. While it was against the norm, the receptionist couldn't refuse the request from the newest hero, recognizing him as Yusikwa. After all, she boasted 10 years of experience as a pro, and she was willing to make an exception for such an esteemed figure. Kim Giju couldn't believe his luck. Guided by none other than the renowned Yusikwa, he knew this was a chance to grow stronger, learn about his innate ability, and become a true force to be reckoned with. Following Yusikwa, Kim Giju ventured into the portal zone, ready to face the unknown. Despite his nerves, he affirmed his readiness to proceed. However, upon seeing the multitude of monsters at the entrance of the first floor, Kim Giju couldn't help but express his concern. Yusikwa, on the other hand, remained unfazed, assuring him that this was an unusual occurrence but a great opportunity for them. Explaining that the situation would allow for quicker explanations, Yusikwa introduced the 100 Goblin test. This test was designed to assess the potential of players below level 10. Participants had to defeat 100 goblins without using any skills, and the time taken for this challenge determined their future potential. As Yusikwa elaborated on the ranks based on clear times, Kim Giju learned that innate ability users were the most remarkable. A regular player might take years to reach a certain level, while an innate ability user could achieve the same in just a few months. Their growth potential was truly tremendous, making them stand out in the world of players. Eyes gleaming with ambition, Yusikwa shared his dream with Kim Giju. He aimed to create the best guild, surpassing all others, and to achieve that, he sought skilled players, especially those with innate abilities like Kim Giju. Encouragingly, Yusikwa expressed his anticipation of meeting Kim Giju again in the tower once he became stronger. With newfound determination, they commenced their training, engaging the goblins with tenacity and vigor. For Kim Giju, this was a turning point. He vowed to change his life, to grow stronger, and to unlock the full potential of his innate ability. 5 years had passed since Kim Giju embarked on his journey as a player. Now, in the heart of a dense forest, the sounds of intense combat filled the air. As the view clears, we witness Kim Giju locked in battle with a goblin. With a final strike, he triumphs over the creature, but exhaustion takes its toll, leaving him gasping for breath on the ground. Approaching the scene, two guys speculate that it must be part of the infamous 100 Goblin Challenge, a popular test among players. Despite his victory, Kim Giju's frustration is palpable as he calls out for his status window. Overwhelmed by disappointment, Kim Giju questions how someone like him, who was given the rare opportunity of being a player with a special innate ability, but for the past 5 years it still takes him an hour to kill a goblin. We see the status window, revealing his name, level 1, and innate ability still shrouded in question marks. He has remained stagnant for 5 long years. Amidst a group of players celebrating their swift goblin kills, one figure stands out, delivering a single sword swing that effortlessly obliterates a goblin. The group congratulates each other, reveling in the easy experience points earned. They chatter about leveling up and express excitement for tomorrow's journey to the second floor. scheduled to meet at the entrance in the morning. As the guide bids farewell to the party, hushed whispers follow in his wake. Rumors swirl among the members about their guide, the lowest ranked player among guide users, who's ironically nicknamed the player who can't level up. Little do they know that this seemingly unremarkable guide is none other than Kim Giju. With his duties as a guide complete, Kim Giju retreats to a secluded area known only to him, a secret spot he's found after wandering on the lowest floor for the longest time. The watch on his wrist reminds him of the significance of this moment. As he gazes at the specific location where a lone goblin spawns daily, he prepares to ambush it. Moving cautiously, Kim Giju steps closer, trying not to alert the goblin to his presence. However, a slight misstep creates a noise that catches the goblin's attention. In an instant, the creature turns, locking eyes with Kim Giju, and launches a fierce attack with its spear aimed straight for his head. Reacting with lightning speed, Kim Giju barely manages to deflect the strike, using his sword as a last-second defense. The goblin's relentless assault pushes him to the limits of his skill, and he realizes that today's battle will be no easy feat. As Kim Giju makes his way to the guide team management office, he unexpectedly bumps into Teo, another fellow guide. Teo appears agitated, offering a quick apology before existing, leaving Kim Giju puzzled by his behavior. Inside the office, he seeks answers from the guide team manager Otashik about Teo's situation. With an embarrassed expression, Manager Otashik reveals that Teo will be taking over Kim Giju's group starting tomorrow. Due to the rumors surrounding Kim Giju, the group requested a change in their guide. This news stings, reminding Kim Giju of the nickname that had been circulating about him. Meanwhile, on the news, the Angela Guild's potential breakthrough on the 75th floor is making headlines, sparking celebration among players. In the world today, everything revolves around players, akin to idols. Gates can manifest anywhere, and the opportunity to become a player is open to anyone. A specific mention on the news catches Kim Giju's attention, a request for help from Korea's Player Association regarding an S-ranked gate in the U.S. The promise of considerable compensation for participants lures many, but for Kim Giju, the path to becoming a true player seems distant. As the guide team manager hands over Kim Giju's paycheck for the day, he expresses that Teo shouldn't be blamed for the recent changes. However, Kim Giju reassures the manager that Teo is not at fault and has nothing to apologize for. The manager then surprises Kim Giju with unexpected news: a commission has been given to him. The revelation leaves Kim Giju astonished, wondering what this commission entails and how it might affect his journey as a player. The next day, a new group member, Kim Seonpil, introduced himself to guide Kim Giju as Sequa's cousin. Surprised by this connection, Kim Giju welcomed him. The rest of the party consisted of Yoon Jae-won, Yoon Sung-woo, and Kim Hanul. They were all gathered for a tutorial lasting 5 days and 4 nights, starting that day. As they set out, they eventually reached a spot to set up camp as night approached. Working together, they pitched tents and prepared food for dinner. Gathering around the campfire, Yoon Jae-won asked a rather blunt question about Kim Giju's level not increasing. Kim Seonpil was visibly frustrated by his party members' impoliteness, but Kim Giju remained calm and admitted the truth. He assured them that if they had any other questions, he would gladly answer. Conversation turned to their training for the day, centered around learning how to defeat monsters. Kim Giju encouraged them, assuring them that they would be able to level up and catch up with others in no time. He mentioned that as long as they didn't encounter a guardian, they wouldn't be in grave danger. Guardians were elite monsters found on each floor, often targeted by guilds and large parties for their valuable experience and item drops. However, they were incredibly dangerous, especially for lower-ranking players. Kim Giju explained that guilds focused on hunting these guardians, particularly on lower floors, so they should be relatively safe from running into them. Meanwhile, on the 4th floor of the tower, an orc was desperately fleeing from something. Tripping over a rock, the orc fell to the ground, fear coursing through its body. As it turned around, its terror grew as it saw a much larger, more menacing monster approaching. with a chilling crunch of bones and splashing of blood. An even bigger monster with a ravenous glint in its eyes emerged, leaving a scene of horror in its wake. On day 2 of the tutorial, the party found themselves on the second floor of the tower, facing orcs in the forest. Despite being larger than goblins, the orcs were slower, making it easier for the group to clear them. Their combined efforts and newfound skills allowed them to overcome the challenges with relative ease. Day 3 took them to the third floor, where they encountered both goblins and orcs together. However, the lack of intelligence and leadership among the monsters worked in their favor, as the group efficiently handled them. Kim Gijju's clever tactic of using a single rock to create infighting among the monster party proved invaluable, allowing them to overcome the odds, with the guide's assistance. They swiftly leveled up and navigated through the safest paths. After setting up camp and enjoying a meal, excitement buzzed among the party members as they discussed the upcoming 5th floor test, which they would face after enduring the 4th floor the next day. Anticipation filled the air as they eagerly wondered what classes they would receive upon completing the test. However, amidst the lively chatter and dreams of their future classes, Kim Gijju found himself lost in thoughts, reminiscing about the 5th floor. There was a hint of nostalgia and perhaps some unresolved emotions tied to that particular level. On the 4th floor, the monsters appeared similar to those on the 3rd floor. But with a crucial difference, they were stronger and faster, requiring the party to adapt their strategy accordingly. Despite the challenge, each member remained in top shape, displaying their newfound skills and learning quickly. However, amidst their progress, a cloud of dust in the distance caught Kim Gijju's attention, raising alarm bells in his mind. Dust winds were not supposed to appear on the 4th floor today, and this unexpected occurrence filled him with a sense of foreboding. Urgently, he warned the party that they needed to leave the area immediately. Kim Gijju had long understood that tutorials were no mere game. The risks were real, and the slightest misstep could spell disaster. As the group attempted to escape, one member suffered a leg injury, and another froze in fear as an orc attacked, narrowly saved by a fellow party member. With a sinking feeling, Kim Gijju prayed that the approaching figure behind the charging orcs was not what he feared, a guardian. Yet, as the dust settled, the colossal monster revealed itself with a deafening scream, confirming Kim Gijju's worst fear. With time pressing against them, Kim Gijju swiftly took action. He threw a smoke bomb at the approaching horde of monsters, creating a diversion and buying them precious moments to escape. The healthy members of the party carried their wounded comrades as they followed Kim Gijju, seeking refuge in a cave nestled on the side of a rocky cliff. Inside the cave, they caught their breath and attempted to assess their situation. Kim Gijju informed them about the unexpected appearance of a guardian on the 4th floor, emphasizing the need to stay vigilant and understand their circumstances. However, their focus was interrupted when one of the party members remained unconscious due to a poison wound sustained during their escape. Kim Gijju assured them that she would recover once she took the antidote. But to their dismay, the antidote was missing. It had fallen out of Kim Gijju's backpack during their hurried retreat. He berated himself for making such a rookie mistake in a critical moment. Despite the urgency of the situation, Kim Gijju maintained composure and devised a plan. He told the rest of the party to stay put while he went to summon a rescue team. Concerned for his safety, they advised him against venturing out alone, but Kim Gijju reassured them. With extensive knowledge of the tutorial floors, he believed he could handle the task safely. Emerging from the cave, Kim Gijju faced a challenging reality. The Guardian's presence had disrupted the monster's usual patterns, making it harder to predict their locations. With only one smoke bomb left, he searched for an alternative path to reach a higher point on the hill where he could light the signal. In a harrowing moment, Kim Gijju found himself facing the looming threat of the Guardian. As he attempted to light the signal for the rescue team, the Guardian struck him from behind, sending him crashing into a rocky wall, injured and coughing up blood. The explosion from the fallen smoke bomb filled the area with a dense cloud of smoke, obscuring his vision and leaving him disoriented. Summoning his courage, Kim Giju reached for a nearby flare gun and shot it into the air, hoping to attract help. With determination in his heart, he started running, knowing that his only chance of survival lay in putting as much distance as possible between him and the Guardian. Although injured and in pain, he refused to succumb to despair, determined to find a way to escape. As he ran, the path ahead led him to the door that marked the entrance to the 5th floor exam. But this was a treacherous place for a level 1 player like him, a realm of death and danger. The thought of leaving his family behind gnawed at him, making it impossible to simply jump through the door to evade the Guardian. Yet, driven by an instinct beyond reason, he continued onward. The door beckoned with an aura of mystery, tempting him with the possibility of escape, even if it meant facing an uncertain fate on the other side. The Guardian's relentless pursuit left him with a choice: face almost certain death at the Guardian's hands or venture through the enigmatic door into the unknown. Summoning his resolve, Kim Giju made the daring decision to look beyond the door, hoping for a glimpse of what lay on the other side. To his astonishment, the announcement confirmed his status as a player, stating that he had entered the area of the first test, and the conditions had been met. In the midst of confusion and disbelief, Kim Giju found himself lying on a grassy field as the system announcements continued to flood in. The system notified that the unverified ability within him has been identified. Also unexpectedly, the difficulty of the first test has been reduced. To his astonishment, the test turned out to be hunting a goat. This bizarre situation left him dumbfounded, and he instinctively grabbed the sword that materialized next to him, slaying the goat standing just within arm's reach. As the system prompts filled his vision, indicating that he had passed the test and his class had been decided, Kim Giju was bombarded with unexpected rewards. The phrase "perfect clear" echoed in his mind. But he couldn't comprehend what was happening. He had entered the test expecting danger and death, yet it seemed to be anything but. However, his sense of bewilderment intensified as shadowy, black hair tentacles emerged from behind him, fully enveloping him. A voice from the darkness questioned him, asking if he was its master. Kim Giju's surroundings remained obscured, and he could not see the source of the voice, which sounded like a young boy. In the midst of this strange encounter, the voice expressed frustration at Kim Giju's inability to answer its questions. The voice claimed to have been waiting for a long time and requested a name from him to establish a link. Puzzled and bewildered, Kim Giju questioned the voice, unable to comprehend the situation. The voice, clearly exasperated with him, emphasized the importance of giving it a name for the link to take place. The system message added that an ego had requested to link with him, seeking permission to do so. Realizing that he had to choose a name for the ego, Kim Giju was overwhelmed by the sudden turn of events. As he pondered the significance of this moment, everything around him suddenly went black and he started to lose his consciousness. As Kim Giju lay on the hospital bed, slowly regaining consciousness, he was met with the familiar faces of his sister and Taeshik rushing to his side. It had been 2 weeks since he was discovered unconscious inside the 5th floor. Taeshik explained that some guild members had come across the smoke bomb and found the Guardian at the entrance to the 5th floor. Unfortunately, before they could defeat it, the Guardian managed to escape, leaving it at large. Relieved to know that the other party members he was guiding had made it out safely, they visited him in the hospital, bringing comfort to his heart. Kim Giju assured his family that everything would be taken care of by insurance, urging them to get some rest and not worry about him. He looked out the hospital window, pondering the events that had unfolded. Despite passing the test on the 5th floor, Kim Giju couldn't help but feel a sense of disappointment. He had expected to level up, but he was still stuck at level 1. As he stood by the window lost in thought, a silver metallic snake ring started to form on his index finger, seemingly appearing out of thin air. As Kim Giju stood outside the association building, he is adorned in his guide uniform. His silver snake ring glowed with an intense red aura, signifying the power that lay within him, the power of his enigmatic ego. Stepping through the portal, he emerged on the 1st floor, where other players were engaged in battles against goblins. As soon as he appeared, all eyes turned towards him, intrigued by the presence of the guide who had once been rumored to be unable to level up. However, the whispers of the past were quickly overshadowed by a new reputation that had spread like wildfire: the tutorial slayer. Kim Gijoo's heroic feat of overcoming the fifth floor test had earned him a new title, turning him into a legend among players. As he approached the door leading to the next floor, the atmosphere was tense. Beyond the door awaited a field teeming with menacing goblins and orcs. Yet, undeterred, Kim Gijoo calmly stepped forward, dropping his backpack with determination etched on his face. With a sudden surge of power, the ring on his finger transforms into a wicked black sword with a red eye at the top of the handle. The sword crackles with red electric light, and Kim Gijoo faces the oncoming monsters fearlessly. In a flash, he vanishes from sight, leaving behind only streaks of red light as he moves with incredible speed between the monsters, slashing them down with a single strike. The monsters are taken by surprise, unable to comprehend what is happening as their numbers dwindle rapidly. Kim Gijoo charges forward, unfazed by the danger, as he jumps and strikes the ground with his sword, creating a massive shockwave that cleaves the enemies in half. In the midst of the battle, Kim Gijoo recalls the moment he gave a name to the mysterious voice during the fifth floor test: "RU." The voice, now known as RU, has become his loyal partner and the source of his newfound power. With each swing of his sword, he taps into RU's abilities, cutting through the monsters effortlessly. The status window displays Kim Gijoo's current information: name, Kim Gijoo, level 1, class and ego's partner, innate ability link, the power to connect with an ego, skill assimilate, enabling him to unify with the linked ego and utilize its abilities. As for RU, the status window reveals level 8, strength 18, dexterity 18, health 7, magic 7, and the skill accessory transformation. As the battle continues, the status window updates, showing that RU has reached level 9, further enhancing its strength and capabilities. To Gijoo, it only felt like yesterday when he was still struggling to kill an orc or two. Now it feels like more work collecting mana crystals instead. As he looks at his shining red snake ring, he asks, "Right, Lu?" We are taken back to a 1 month ago, when Gijoo was first discharged from the hospital. He enters the tower to check on his status, and finds it changed. A new class job showed him being an ego's partner. It was a good thing to come to the tower as soon as he was discharged, since he wasn't dreaming and his status really did change. Even though he knew coming to the tower right now was a mistake. If told his sister about his decision, she would call him insane for heading back into the tower right after recovering from a near-death experience. Our hero couldn't just sit still, especially since his status has changed for the first time in 5 years. However, realization dawned on him: he had no clue how to use his abilities, much less how to link with this ego thing. Our hero started to brainstorm on what to do. As if inspiration struck him, he stretched out one arm and with the other holding his face yelled, "Link up." However, only empty silence greeted him, and even the bird watching from a branch was speechless at his idiocy. Our little guy was so embarrassed at what he just did that he sat down and curled up into a ball. Thankfully, there was no one around to see him make a fool of himself. Our fool closed his eyes and started to mutter to himself, saying how he gave that bratty voice a name, Lu. At that very moment, in a flash of red light, a bluish orb swirling with red aura was floating in front, and the system message informed him that a formless ego, Lu, has been summoned. By the way, our guy was clueless on how he just did it. As the system informed him that Lu's appearance has not been formed, it would be chosen at random due to players' lack of ability. After which the system said the ingredients for Lu's materialization will be automatically absorbed. While Gijoo was confused and trying to figure out what was going on, the orb started to vacuum suck everything from the surrounding area. The backpack with all the expense stuff inside was not spared. It literally took the cloths off our hero back. Thankfully, it left him wearing his underwear, or else we would have had to censor this portion of the story. Once the orb was done, it turned black-red and a pillar of red light descended from the heavens. As the light faded, a black demonic sword was hovering in the air. After making a poncho out of some salvaged blanket, our hero turned to the talking sword, asking for the third time if its name was really Lu. The sword called him an idiot for making it repeat itself. Giju tried to calm down and asked what an ego was, to which the sword replied, "How the F would I know, idiot?" Our hero was getting very agitated with the black sword's attitude, but continued to ask questions, and we learn more about egos. Once a link between the ego and the master is established, only the master had control over the relationship. Kinda like master and slave. However, an ego could hurt or even kill their master. But if the master died, the linked ego would also disappear. Then, with a sinister grin, Giju asked the sword if it could feel pain. To which the sword proudly replied that he was a distinguished ego who could feel all emotions, and if the settings were turned on, all sensations too. With a rock in his hand, the system prompt asked if he wanted to turn on Lu's pain perception. Our boy showing the words, manners. Mocketh. The man. We hear a loud scream of pain as someone getting the beating of a lifetime. We now return to the present, where an orc is killed with a wicked red slash. A system pop-up informs that Lu is absorbing the blood of the orc. More pop-ups appear saying Lu has acquired experience points and has leveled up. Lu's stat have also increased. When Giju casually comments there was a time when Lu rebelled a lot, the sword tries to make it pass it off as an embarrassing memory, and when he thinks back on it, it still gives him chills. After seeing an eerie look cross over Giju's face, the sword corrects himself, saying he has a chill master, and that he is very blessed to have such a wonderful master. Looks like our boy, while tempering the sword with a rock, has tamed it somewhat. With their bags full, they decided to head back down out of the tower. The next time Giju wants to try entering a gate instead of the tower. Back at the Players Association building, Tashik warns him against entering gates for the time being. They have had several cases of gates which were supposed to be relatively easy rank F turn into higher rank C for some unknown reason. Also, 4 high rankers have died in a recent gate in the United States. Tashik told our hero this has never happened in the last 23 years, but this sudden change started a month ago. Our hero thought it might just be coincidence that it's around the time he met with Lu, but just passed it off. His guide manager was just looking out for our boy and just wanted him not to rush into danger. Gates, unlike the tower, was a better source of income. It offered more crystals, special items, and had clear bounties. Our hero could not pass up the opportunity to make more money since he was drowning in a mountain of debt. He figured that a gate being an anomaly was low and started to look for random parties to join to get some fast cash. He soon found a party and met with the group leader in a coffee shop. The expedition leader's name was Song Su-ha. A standard contact, outlining the profit distribution and such, was provided for our hero to sign. Also, equipment and gear drops would be decided with a dice roll. The leader explained that they would meet in 2 days to enter the gate and told our hero not to be late. Gates are generally categorized into 2 types. Either a one-time gate which disappears after being cleared, or a sustained gates, which do not disappear and can allow players to repeat hunting within them. Of course, the one-time games offered more unique rewards, but the sustained gate were preferred since they offer lower risks and strategies to clear them are posted publicly. On the designated time and date, our hero starts the gate with his makeshift random party. The group consisted of 5 players, a tank, 2 damage dealers, one of which was our hero. A red-haired mage type, and the leader of the expedition was the archer. It looked like everyone was a stranger except the archer and the redhead. As they were walking down the corridor, they were soon approached by a horde of zombies. With menacing red eyes, they charged into our party. The blonde tanker took to the front to block their approach, while the damage dealers started the assault with the archer's support from the backline. while the gray-haired damage dealer was complaining about how resilient the monsters were. Our hero shocked everyone by tearing through the enemy lines, like they were made of paper. In a matter of moments, the battle was over and they were sitting down recovering. The blonde tanker and the other damage dealer kept on praising and offering flattery to our Giju for making this gate a breeze and wanting to tag along to all his future endeavors. When the break was over and they were going to head out again, a sly look passed between the blonde tanker and the damage dealer. The blonde guy whispered into the gray head's ears, and a mischievous grin appears on both their faces. The party quickly made their way to a massive steel bars, which was the entrance to the boss's room. When the leader started to give an explanation on the method to clear the gatekeeper talon, he was rudely interrupted by the blonde tanker. The redhead had a murderous expression on her face, which soon disappeared when the leader looked in her direction. After their eyes met, the leader continued with his explanation. After everyone knew their role, they broke in through the steel bars and entered the room. The large bandaged boss monster was sitting with his back towards them. The archer started the battle with an arrow shot at the boss. The monster turned around angrily and charged the whole party. The tanker took the initial hits and was flung to the back. Then the damage dealers began their assault on the boss. After taking some damage, the boss hunched down into an almost impenetrable defensive stance. Taking this chance, Giju leaped into the air for an attack. Just as he was coming down to land his attack, the system message notifications popped up telling him that his synchronization rate with Lu had increased and now he was able to use Lu's abilities more effectively. Without knowing exactly what happened, an overwhelming surge of power came down with his blade, making it possible for him to kill the boss in one strike. He stood there dumbfounded like the rest of his party members. The system notification pop-up told him the gatekeeper talon has been defeated, and he obtained a new skill called cannibalism. It was a skill used to recover health by devouring corpses. Doesn't this feel like another cheat skill? What the hell? The party members were all surprised at what just happened. Not only did they easily clear the boss, but it even dropped equipment called Dagger of Paralysis. As per the contract, they would roll the dice to determine the distribution. While this was going on, Blondie came over and put his arms around Giju's shoulder. In a sleazy manner he said that since Giju did most of the work, Dagger should be his by right and to leave everything to them. Having been a guide for more than 5 years, our hero had developed an eye for people. He had low expectations for the tank and the dealer, but this was downright shameful. As they sat down to start the distribution, the two scoundrels made eye contact and started to put their plans into motion. The tanker grabbed a dagger and made a sudden lunge at the leader. Just then our hero grabbed Blondie's arm and flipped him over his head and onto his back. The Blondie tried to get the gray head to help, but his partner in crime was scared stupid. Our hero was thinking he was lucky to be alive, not because of the Blondie but due to the red head. Since sometime during this confrontation the red head had pulled out a dagger and was shrouded in a black aura. Wasn't she a mage? This was dangerous. Even the leader acted strangely. When the dagger was flying at his throat, the leader didn't even flinch but instead kept his focus on the dagger. Our hero, still pinning Blondie down on the ground, asked the party leader what he wanted to do with these two dirtbags. To which the leader called out the redhead's name, Harem. Then without saying another word the redhead shrouded herself with a black aura and rushed to the gray head, knocking him senseless with a single hand strike to the back of his neck. As expected, this girl was dangerous. Our hero, taking this example, also knocked the Blondie out of commission. To his surprise, a chop to the back of the head really did do the trick. Then Giju declared that he would be taking the dagger since he was the one to save the life of the other party. Also, he passed the responsibility of taking care of the dirtbags in the capable hands of the other party and told them he was going to explore a bit more before heading back. There was a reason for exploring more, since killing more zombies provided him with more stats. His ego Lu had the special ability to get stats through absorbing blood. Like goblins gave him dexterity, ores gave him strength, and zombies gave him stamina. It's another way to get higher stats than he should be at his level. Of course, there is a limit to the amount of blood Lu can absorb. Since he killed all the zombies and absorbed enough blood, our hero decided to head back to the boss's room to enter the rewards room. The rewards room was a limbo space that you can only reach via the gatekeeper's corpse. However, upon entering the boss's room, our hero noticed a glow coming from one of the wall that was not there before. Upon closer inspection, the wall seems to be hollow. Then, against Lu's protest, our hero swung the sword like a hammer and crashed into the wall. The cloud of dust generated by the strike was no joke, but suddenly Lu detected the presence of an ego. And as the dust slowly settles, we can see something shining from within. Was ego something you can easily obtain? Giju began to lament that he wasted 5 years of his life, to which Lu, not missing a beat, said, because his master was an idiot. But before our hero could come back to his senses, Lu hurriedly turned the conversation around and pointed out they need to look for the ego, which was nearby. Our hero had doubts that anything could be left behind, since this was a permanent gate that's been around for a while, but Lu said otherwise. Then they came upon a white sword in a stone. Could this be the legendary Excalibur? Not knowing any better, our boy grabbed the shiny sword, and as soon as he touched the sword, he was covered in a blinding white light. In a female voice, "Are you my master?" As Giju slowly opened his eyes, he found himself in a space filled with pure white light, similar to Lu's dark space. When asked if she was the ego within the sword, she replied yes and said she has been here waiting for a master. Like before, this ego asked for a name to be called, to which our hero without hesitation said L. Then as soon as the sword was pulled out, the walls started to crack, and the whole gate became unstable. Both the egos told our hero to flee, but at the same time became aware of each other. Looks like they can now carry a three-way conversation. The two egos started to chat, to which Giju told them to shut it, since he still needed to concentrate. He saw the corpse of the gatekeeper, and immediately rushed towards it. When the floors beneath his feet started to crumble, he made a desperate leap for the corpse with his outstretched hand. Upon touching the corpse, the system immediately gave the prompt to enter the rewards room. As he was being teleported away, he noticed a huge evil eye staring at him from behind the portal. Sometime later, it was being reported on the news that the permanent gate had destroyed, but the cause was unknown. On the bright side, the gate collapsed way after he left, so he was not regarded as a suspect. And his rewards for clearing this gate were 30 violet crystals and an additional reward, Charm of Protection. Unlike towers, gates offer crystals as rewards for clearing it, and depending on their color, the value increases. Also, some valuable items that affect health and longevity can be used by ordinary people. The charm wasn't enough to cure his mother of her illness, but it was still helpful, and the money from selling the crystals allowed them to move her to a hospital. After taking care of his mother, our hero decided to climb the tower once more. Wielding his dual swords, Giju was easily able to climb from the 6th floor all the way to the 9th floor. A floor, not long ago, he couldn't even dream of entering, was made into a reality by his two egos, Lu and L. With the amount of experience gained, L was able to level up, but due to shared experience, the pace of leveling up was a little slower. However, thanks to the synchronization skill, our hero could still feel his power level rising. Now we get a little backstory for L. She was a sword that was used to seal a demon inside the gate. However, due to having sealed the demon for a long time, most of her power had dissipated. Along with her power, her memory had also faded with the passage of time, and she couldn't remember anything about the demon or the situation that put her there in the first place. With the addition of L to the group, our hero's power was growing, and with more egos, the more powerful he would become. So the next logical step was to find more egos, and the place selected for this search was none other than the item auction house. Upon entered the auction house, his egos tried to sense other egos among the auctioned items, but as each item came up, they had yet to detect an ego. With the auction nearing its end, the last item of the day, its main attraction was brought out, and wouldn't you know it, it's an ego. But alas, how could our poor fool afford such an expensive item? At least he didn't leave empty-handed, since he was able to auction away the dagger of paralysis for a whopping $100,000. He had a weird grin on his face as he left the auction. On his way home, our hero stopped by a neighborhood supermarket to buy grocery. Our boy is very frugal. And as he walks home, something catches his attention. At first he notices a small tear in space right in front of him, and as he watched, it started to expand into an unexpected gate. Now let us take a moment to learn about how to deal with newly formed gates, aka gate claiming process. When a new gate is formed, it's not considered dangerous, but they need to contact the player association as soon as possible. If anyone tries to enter a newly formed, unverified gate without prior player association approval, you can find yourself sentenced up to 5 years, or fined up to $10,000. Be sure to have solid proof that you are the first to find the gate, since priority gate access and privileges are given to the first person to find it. Also known as rolling in the money when you clear it, or for the extremely lucky few, if it turns out to be a stable sustained gate. Now, we turn our attention to the Player Association Gate Supervision Department head, which happens to be our old friend Tashik, who was recently promoted to this position. As he looks over the data he received on the newest gate, he notices it's near our hero's house. Upon finding out it was our boy, Tashik, in a fit of surprise, spits coffee out all over his face. Back at the scene, the Player Association representative informs our Giju that he now has 5 days to enter the gate, or else the rights are forfeited and auctioned away. As this is happening, Tashik has arrived at the scene, waiting for his chance to talk with our boy. When done, the two head off to a nearby nice cafe to talk. Since the new gate turned out to be an F-ranked gate, Giju plans on clearing it himself. Tashik, while drinking sweet coffee, asks Giju which floor in the tower he was on. We now find that Giju just cleared 10th today and was on the 11th. This is mainly due to Lu's absorbing blood skill, which was making the process take longer than normal. Got to grind for them OP stats. Anyways, Tashik gave our boy 4 days to prepare and come find him, since he was going to personally test Giju to see if he had what it took to clear the gate, or else he wasn't allowed to go in. 4 days later, at the basement of the Player Association Tower, they are within a training room. With space expansion, protective barrier around the walls, it's the perfect place to go all out. Tashik tries to solicit our boy to join the Player Association as an agent, but Giju flatly refuses, saying he doesn't want to settle down anywhere at the moment. As a thought occurs to him, he asks whatever happened to Teo, since the guide department disappeared when Tashik got promoted. Seems Teo joined the Karivan Guild, it's plot for later. Tashik starts to roll up his sleeves and get down to business with his bare hands. He starts off doing some fist pumps in the air, sending shockwaves in our boy's direction, shocking Giju. Once an expert, always an expert. Don't look down on a former high ranker, and with those words starts giving off that old man vibes. Our hero's not about to take this lying down, then a boot comes flying straight for him without a moment's notice. Giju just barely blocks the hit with the black sword's help, but still gets pushed back a few feet. Don't let your guard down in a gate, since it's as good as dying, so stay focused. Flashback to 4 days ago, at the item auction market, Giju is shopping for more equipment. Weapons are no problem, but his defense is severely lacking. Like shopping in a mall, stores had window displays showing armor. They even have status windows showing the stats. How cool is that? Unfortunately, reality bites, and our poor fool is sticker shocked at the prices. Cheap armor gives disgustingly shitty stats, while good armor is disgustingly expensive. player economy at its best. As he sits down to pity his misfortune, he sees a commotion nearby. A kid is arguing with players, telling them not to look down on his grandpa's skills. But others just mock him, saying what could be so amazing about equipment that doesn't even have the standard pop-up. Regardless, our hero takes an interest in the boy, and tells him to take him to see his grandpa, to which the boy happily agrees. As the kid takes him down a shady staircase, our hero starts to have second thoughts, but Lou and Elle tell him that without a doubt, the kid's clothings are all egos, artificially made by human, but partially wields the strength of an ego. Upon entering the shop, Min-soo informs his grandpa that he brought a customer, to which a grumpy old voice reminded him not to bring unwanted guests. But to Gijju's surprise, his egos inform him that everything in this store was an ego. How could this be? As Gijju looked at each item, they all showed up as nameless equipment with levels. Lou said these are all egos missing a ego, they were insentient egos. The old man behind the counter said he had nothing to sell, so just leave, since he wasn't planning on selling to the likes of him. Jilchul Won, the blacksmith, keep on looking at his book, with a knowing expression that all the guys that come to his shop are trash. Our hero insisted that he wanted to buy, to which the blacksmith waved his hands and said that even if he bought them, he won't be able to use them anyways. So Gijju countered that if he could use them, the blacksmith would sell them? Our hero started to name a sword and its level out loud. To which the blacksmith in shock couldn't believe he can see the sword's abilities. When told to try it out, Gijju first stared at the sword, and told it from now on its name is Sharpness. Everyone in the room was shocked that nothing happened. Then Elle told our boy the sword didn't like the name. What a surprise. Now back at the present within the training room, Gijju stands a distance away from Taeshik with both his sword drawn out, with a red glint in his eyes. He quickly charges forward, closing the gap between the two, to land a blow on Taeshik. Without even flinching, Taeshik parries the blow with a single arm, like he's batting away an annoying bug. He angrily screamed that if you hesitate in your attack, our hero couldn't even put a scratch on him. Renewing his concentration, our boy takes one swing after another, without landing a solid hit with his swords, but gets easily countered with jabbing punches. Fist versus sword, the battle dragged on until Taeshik decided enough was enough and pulled his fists back for a decisive blow. Our hero noticed too late, as his arms were still behind him in a swing that would come little too late. Oh boy, another flashback to the blacksmith's shop. Gijju couldn't believe he couldn't link to any of them. He really needs to work on his naming skills. But as our hero takes some clothes from a shelf, Lou reminds him, while these are second-rate, egos are usually rather picky about their owners, unlike Elle and himself who couldn't help their situation, but they are not the norm. With a look of defeat, our hero decided to try one last time, touching a purple gold armor, naming it Brunhart. In a flash of bright light, the system message informs him that he has successfully made a link with the ego, Brunhart. While our hero celebrates, the system goes on to tell him that, due to lack of ability, not all of Brunhart's abilities can be used. We see Brunhart's stats. A new skill, Reflect Defense 12, is added to our hero. By the way, this is Reflect Damage. Now finally back to the present time, when the decisive fist blow from Taeshik is about to land, the system shows reflecting damage accumulated by Brunhart, and he is taken aback and a big explosion takes place at that very location, with rocks and dust being blown in all directions. Gijju is sent flying, and he crashes into the wall, spitting out some blood. From the bellowing cloud of dust, we see several potions thrown to our hero, who is crouching and still coughing on the ground. They are potions to heal any internal injuries. Taeshik also came prepared. He tells our boy, while he passed the test, if the gate isn't cleared within a week from today, the association will be sending their agents inside. However, Taeshik was only giving him 5 days. If he didn't come out, Taeshik was personally going to drag his sorry butt out. After making sure everything was in order, like a mother hen, it was time to enter the gate. Our brave hero entered the gate, transforming his egos into their sword form. He stabbed a wolf down its throat. Then he got down to business, as a large pack of wolves came into view. A single slash is all it took to kill these wolves. Lu kept on absorbing the blue wolf's blood. L leveled up. Using his new skills, taking his time to train, level up his egos, he started to clear the gate with ease. Just like a simple walk in the park, if the park had wolves. After some time, he sat down to get some rest and eat some dried-out jerky while he mused at his luck for entering a gate like this, since normally given his position, it would be almost impossible to do something like this solo. A player's rank is used to determine everything, and measuring a player's rank is done without any equipment. Unfortunately, when he is a certain distance away from his egos, he loses all their abilities and additional stat bonuses, goes back down to level 1, so he couldn't get a proper evaluation. L cheers him up, saying that as Master's abilities advances, distance would no longer matter to maintain the link. He really hoped so. Unfortunately, he was still clueless on how to advance his skills. He also wondered about the cannibalism skill. Was it really eating one's own kind? Plot for later. Anyways, since his bag was already full of mana crystals, he decided it was time to conclude this, and headed for the main boss of the gate. He headed towards an entrance, which emitted the strongest energy in the gate. Our hero started to chug down on buff potions. Better safe than dead, started to walk down the dark tunnel. The light at the end of the tunnel finally came into view. Due to the tension, our hero spoke quietly for the egos to quiet down, to which his egos reminded him that no one else can hear them. Our silly fool forgot. The tunnel opened into a meadow. The boss wolf was lying down in the distance. At their approach, the eyes of the gatekeeper flared up, then standing up majestically gave a menacing growl, baring its fangs at our hero. The pressure it was giving off were leagues beyond the gate boss he previously fought with the random party. With a sudden leap, the boss charged towards our hero with blinding speed. In a matter of seconds it was within striking distance. Giju stood his ground, and met the charge head-on with his swords crossed, and blocked the first Fang attack. Then taking the momentum, like a badass, pulled L back, and swung it forward into the side of the boss's face. The attack was still shallow, and barely dug into the tough hide of the boss. The wolf was beside himself. How could a worthless human dare to scratch his face? His eyes started to glow red with rage. With the swing of the head, the wolf launched our hero rolling in the ground. Giju was able to manage his tumbling by using his dual swords as anchors to stop himself. This fight wasn't going to be easy. Since the damn wolf had such strong hide, he was going to have to fight the long battle, slowly accumulating damage. He smirked, thinking this wasn't so bad. The training for 5 years, battling a single goblin for over an hour, was finally going to pay off in spades. Since a battle of attrition was his specialty. The fierce clashes between a man and a wolf seemed go on for ages. But in the end, when his buffs were about to wear off, he used Brunhart's reflect damage skill to deal a decisive blow. He sat next to the lying boss. While gasping for breath, it was a close call. While holding the black sword over the boss's body, our hero gave thanks for dying by his hands. He struck the final blow with Lu. The system window gave the usual info. Gate boss Changkyung was defeated, gained experience. Lu absorbs Changkyung's blood. To his surprise, Lu had gained a new skill from absorbing Changkyung's blood, called Strongwill, faster stamina recovery when damaged beyond one's means, great for his type of battles. Then suddenly, the system notification telling him cannibalism has been activated. As he stood there, dumbfounded at what was going on, a giant illusionary mouth appeared behind him, and chomped down on the corpse of the boss. The system informed him that Lu has absorbed Changkyung, and had successfully transformed it into an ego. As a big blue mana crystal was the only thing left behind, our hero was wondering what the hell just happened. As he sat down on the ground, with Lu and L, he tried to think on how this could be. Even his egos had no idea what just happened. They have never heard of a monster turning into an ego. While trying to figure out who had this new ego, he pulled up his status window, and it was him who had the ego of Changkyung. As he wondered how to use it, he remembered the embarrassment trying to activate it last time, and decided it was better to try it later. As he was glad about his findings, he started to get ready to head to the reward room, but our hero forgot something he had not accounted for. He looked all around but couldn't find it. Our little fool momentarily forgot that Lu ate the gatekeeper's corpse, so there is no way to port into the reward room via the gatekeeper's body. Lu lamented, "Why is it always his fault?" Our hero looked frantically all around the boss area, but there was no portal in sight. He could wait for outside help, but how could he possibly explain his situation? They would have more questions than answers he could give. If he was unable to clear the gate, then a gate break might occur, causing a lot of casualties. Giju resolved to finish what he started, first by killing off all the remaining monsters. He went through every nook and cranny, all the places that had been purposely avoided, and killed all the remaining blue wolves they found. By the 5th day, they had killed the last monster, and then suddenly felt that the entire gate's energy was being collected in one place. His egos pointed out that it was the meadow where the gatekeeper was. Now, back at the player association, we find our boy talking with Taeshik, explaining the whole situation within the gate, while taking a shower. Talk about killing two birds with one stone. We get the flashback of the last moments within the gate. Our hero is running towards the meadow. As he gets close, he sees a scene that is difficult to explain, as if the whole world was breaking into pieces and being absorbed in one place. As he touched it, the system window appears and informs him that he had acquired an ego fragment. And will you enter the reward room? Flash forward to the present. Within the showers, Giju drops a bombshell that gates might be egos, to which Taeshik only had a dumbfounded expression. Payments for both the crystals and the gate clearing reward from the player association, amounting to around $50,000, were being deposited into Giju's bank account. Taeshik offered to take our hero to the hospital to go see his mother, but for some reason our boy was a little hesitant. We see why, since Taeshik's baby turns out to be a pink vehicle that wouldn't look out of place in a Barbie movie. When they got to the hospital room, seeing his sister napping, Giju took her outside for some fresh air, leaving Taeshik to look after their mom. Our hero told his sister to take care of herself as well, to which his sister replied she wanted a charm of protection too, which earned her a stern warning. As they walked the corridors, they ran into an elderly granny, who was outstretching her legs. She had a good impression of our hero via his sister, and told him he was very energetic, as she touches his hand with the 2 rings. Then, as they were parting ways, the granny turned around and gave a warning to our hero that he had conflicting energies within him, and to always be careful not to lose himself. Spoiler alert, plot foreshadowing. Like a wise soothsayer, she walks off with her back towards him, hoping that he can make it through the coming challenges. He is just standing there wondering at her words, thinking, did she know something? The next day, a doctor approaches our hero, asking if he had some time to talk. The next moment we see him heading towards the gate entrance within the tower. A guy notices him as the tutorial slayer, and wanted to say hi, but soon changed his mind. We now get a flashback of the conversation between our hero and the doctor. Due to complications and unknown illness, his mother had best 1 year, at worst 3 months left to live. We now come to the present. Our hero is facing a minotaur towering over him. In his rage and frustration, he rushes into the gang of monsters, blaming himself for everything, regretting not entering the 5th floor sooner, and saying if he only had the courage earlier. While tearing through a group of monsters, without a care for his own safety, he keeps blaming himself for his inability to get stronger. We now jump to the 19th floor of the tower. We see a disheveled Giju, walking with several packs full of crystals tied to his back, walking by a group of people. He cleared his way from the 11th floor, all the way to the 19th floor in just 2 weeks. When a group of shady guys approach him, they volunteered to take the backpacks off him. They were red players who belonged to the Spear Guild, but we'll call them Smurfs since they had the Smurfs logo on their shirts. Red players are players who have either broken the laws or killed other players. Smurf number 1 tries to get his grabby hands on the backpack, but got a sword to his neck instead. Trying to be a badass for a dumbass, he starts to say, "Do you know who I am?" To which our hero told him to fuck off and stop being greedy for other people's things. Giving off enough bloodlust, our Smurf almost pissed his pants. Due to the commotion, someone from the player association on the floor came rushing over. The Smurfs made a run for it, saying the famous last words, "We won't forget your face, future plot." As the association member approached, he asked what happened and introduced himself as Seonghun Hyo, the security agent for the 19th floor from the Korean Players Association. Our hero told him that some red players were eyeing his stash, to which the agent could easily understand. Then the agent asked if he was player Giju by chance. We are now taken to Taeshik's office, and explained that Taeshik had put a bounty on Giju to be found and brought to him. When asked why, he told him he was concerned about Giju, who had shut himself within the tower for 2 weeks without making any contact. And second was for a way to cure his mother's illness. The only way to treat an illness with an unknown cause was with a game item called elixir. An all-powerful potion that is known to cure any disease, but are very rare, with only 3 elixirs ever reported to have been found to date. You have a chance to obtain the elixir as a gate clear reward, but only for maze-type gates. Due to wide distribution of monsters of various ranks, as well as powerful keepers and frequent traps, the gate is classified as miscellaneous gate, which is separate from ranked gates, so anyone can challenge them with permission. Since 2 days ago, a third maze appeared in America. After Giju leaves to make preparations, we see Taeshik sitting alone in his office, feeling very tired, remembering his brother Kim and saying that he has done everything he could think of. Seems there is more history between these two than meets the eye. Once Giju cleans up and makes his preparation, he is greeted by Seonghun Hyo at the Player Association. Seems the security agent has been reassigned by his department head, Taeshik, to aid our hero and guide him to the gate. They were about to set off when Giju told his guide to give him a moment. In the next moment, our hero goes to the 20th floor and passes the test, which allowed his skill to evolve into an E grade. The status window shows that his skill, Synchronizing, can use 35% of Ego's power. While it might be only 35%, he feels that his body has much more strength than before the test. When he came down, the agent had an aha moment. He couldn't believe our boy finished the test, which normally takes around a day, and cleared it in 20 minutes. He decided never mind, and led the way to their destination. When asked for the time of their flight, our agent said they won't be taking a plane. Our hero had a puzzled expression. The guide told him that they would be headed to the 5th floor. You see, the tower is connected to the entire world via gates. The reason you typically do not see other people from different countries is because they are separated by regions, and these regions are maintained by different player associations from different countries. We now arrive at the 5th floor, Korean Player Association branch office. They enter an elevator, which is located within the tower. Normally this would be impossible since within the tower there is no electricity, but this elevator and even the building itself is actually an artifact, powered by crystals. As they reach their floor, the elevator door opens to reveal a room full of gate portals. This is the International Transport Portal Management Center. Not just anyone has access to these portals, and it seems Taeshik is not your average desk jockey to allow Giju the use of this top secret place. They soon arrive at a portal marked with the sign, USA, and enter it to arrive at Los Angeles, California. As they drive to the location of the maze gate, our hero looks over information concerning the other players, the high rankers who will also be participating in this gate raid. From the USA, Iron Shield, from Europe, Athena, and from Korea, the Demon King. When they arrive, the gate is guarded by armored tanks, barbed wire fenced, and military personnel, similar to something you would find in Warzone. In a location nearby, someone off-screen asks a guy in orange sunglasses, named Ball, if he knows who the new arriving Korean players are, to which Ball said he had no clue, but they look like someone from the association. In the next moment, with a penetrating eye, Ball uses some kind of eye skill and obtains information, revealing that the player is level 1 with no stats, and doesn't look to have any unique abilities. That's our boy Giju in nutshell, alright. We are finally shown the face of the off-screen voice, which turns out to be a girl with long purple hair, purple eyes, with strong purple aura emitting from her body, looks like a real royalty, who says that our boy's face is just her type. Future waifu? Inside the gate, the labyrinth's walls are overgrown with plants. We see our hero, in a fight against a giant spider. He rushes towards the spider and makes a feint, to lure the spider into shooting its webbing, then signals Mr. Sung-hoon to strike. The agent takes this opportunity to rush forward with his spear, and kills the giant spider in a single headshot. After 15 hours into the gate, Giju thanks Mr. Sung-hoon for helping him adjust to the gate. Since this is as far as he can assist, the rest will be up to our boy to manage, and they quickly say their farewells and part way, promising to meet again in Korea. Using an item called Infinite Spray, glorified spray paint, our hero marks his path as he travels within the labyrinth, so he wouldn't get lost. After a week traveling along, he is now able to handle more of the monsters on his own. Even killing 3 giant spiders all at once isn't taking much effort, but knows that even stronger monsters awaits him as he advances closer to the boss's room. As Giju thinks back to the parting gift left by the agent, it looks like a ball of string, but it's an item called the thread roll of Arachne. It allows the user to return to the entrance of the gate once. It was a gift from director Taeshik, along with the words, "Run when you face a monster that's stronger than you, don't save it, there is nothing more precious than your life." Here is Mother Hen Taeshik, looking out for our boy. However, for Giju, he had no plans on using such an item, since for him getting the elixir meant more than his life. He is suddenly awakened from his thoughts by a loud girl scream nearby. He quickly transformed his swords and cautiously advanced towards the sound, while Lu told him not to go, since it looked suspicious. Throwing caution to the winds, even if it was a trap, it wouldn't hurt him to check it out, since you never know if this might turn into a bigger danger in the future. From a distance, he saw a young black-haired girl, tied to a tree, shouting for help. While hiding behind a tree, our hero thinks this really reeks of a blatant trap. Why would a young kid, who has an uncanny resemblance to his sister, be doing alone in a gate like this? Our hero thought it was better to pretend he never saw a thing, since there were way too many suspicious things about this situation. As he was turning to go, the girl started to sob, saying, "Mom, sorry that I couldn't help with the hospital bills." At these words, Giju stopped in his tracks, clenching his teeth. Lu told him that this was obvious a trick, even a 9-year-old wouldn't fall for some simple line like this. But we know better, and these words pulled on our hero's heartstrings, and in a flash, he rushed to the girl, tearing the tree vines, and rescued the girl. The girl explained that she was accidentally separated from her party while she was distracted. Her name was Soo Jung-young, and she had a buff skill as her original talent. In this world, as long as you have a talent, even if you are underage, you can still become a player. Since not a lot of people possess a buff-type talent, much less as an original talent, they are highly sought after to party with. This could explain why an underage girl was brought into a dangerous place like this. Standing up suddenly, this girl, calling our guy uncle, asks if she can tag along with him, while making puppy eyes. Giju flatly refused, telling the girl, "Since you are a player, you should be responsible for your own life." He can't help her anymore, and thinking he's not old enough to be called her uncle. She pleads, saying she's a good supporter and would an asset to him, then starts her sad story about being a new player with low levels, lured into this dangerous gate by the promise of getting a lot of money. With a defeated face, he turns his head away, telling her that he plans to clear the gate, so he won't be going out, and it's only going to get even more dangerous, and although the rewards will be split, he can't give her the elixirs if they even come out. Looks like our fool once again got suckered into her demands. At first the girl had a blank stare, then comprehension dawned on her, and she shouted her thanks. He reaffirmed in his head that he was only taking her since supports would make this gate easier, and it's definitely not because she said her mother was sick or because she looked like her sister. Who was he trying to kid? We now continue our adventure into the labyrinth, and come across a giant ant. Calling on the girl for the buff, our hero rushes forward to slash through the group of spiders standing in their path. It's now been 2 weeks since he grouped with Sejong, and the hunting has definitely become easier. They were resting and eating by the wall when Giju felt a presence nearby. While hiding behind a broken part of the wall, he tried to sneak peek at who might be approaching. And it turned out to be the Iron Guild, led by Iron Shield. Upon noticing that this was a high ranker, and since he was hiding, they might mistake him for a spy. Thinking this, he quickly tried to run away, when an explosion occurred at the location he just vacated. A giant sword had been plunged inches away from him. While still on the ground, he quickly made his escape. When one of the members asked his guild master why he threw his sword, he just brushed it off as making a mistake. In a distant cave, we catch up with Giju and Sejong. Panting for breath, she asked why they were running away when they did nothing wrong, to which Giju informed her that they made the mistake of spying on them. Since spying can lead to surprise attacks within a gate, so typically it's forbidden among players. He was surprised to have been suddenly attacked like that, but explained it away saying that a big guild like that must have lots of enemies. So instead of avoiding them and taking the longer route, they would instead follow behind and reap some of the benefits, since a big guild like that would clear the way and likely be taking the right path. He was thinking how smart he was, following from a distance at the marking left by the Iron Guild. Just as he was saying, they just needed to find the boss's room first, he noticed that he was all alone. When he looked around for Sejong, his two egos warned him that something was approaching. The warning from his egos came too late, as Blondie was standing right behind him with a menacing glare, saying, "Found you, you little rat." As soon as he noticed what was going on, a hand he couldn't even dodge smashed his head into the ground. As the hand squeezed the head, he slowly lost consciousness, as the world around him turned black. As he was roughly slapped awake from his slumber, he found himself tied to a rock without his weapons, and the words spoken were in a language he couldn't fully understand. Just so you know, our boy's English vocabulary was very limited, so all he was hearing was gibberish. As Iron Shield grabbed his hair and kept interrogating in English, our boy couldn't fully understand the words spoken to him. But at the word kill, our boy spoke out in Korean not to kill him. Then it dawned on Iron Shield that the fool before him couldn't understand English. Iron Shield turned and called out for Rogers, to which a rat-faced member appeared in front of the guildmaster. His name is Rogers Han, a well-known individual with Korean-American ancestry, who publicly announced joining the Iron Guild. He approached our hero and, skipping the introductions, told him that he knew he was Korean by the contents of his bag. After which, he started to ask the same questions as before. Like why did he spy on them, what group he was associated with, and how he was able to fool the guildmaster's senses. To which Giju replied that it was all a misunderstanding, he was just hunting, and that he was a normal player without any affiliations. He told him that he wasn't foolish enough to try to fool anyone's senses, he just assumed they already knew, and was fine with what he was doing. To which Rogers at first agreed and said he understood, then in the next moment, the rat-face drew his dagger and plunged it into our boy's thigh. Giju couldn't understand what just happened, as he screams in pain. "Why so squishy?" comments Ratface, downgrades our hero, and tells him not to fool with him. Hunting? That's just BS, since he knows that he is also after the elixir. As our attention shifts to the background, where a member is holding our hero's two swords, and telling the guild master that he couldn't see a status window for the weapons. Also, the blades are so dull that it couldn't even be used to cut the skin of an orc. After which, Iron Shield said to just keep them, they could be used as raw material by their blacksmith when they got back. The member commented that compared to the holy sword Callion, these were just lumps of metal. We turn back to our hero being tortured by Ratface. He kept using Gidju's expensive healing potions to heal him, just to stab him back to the brink of death. Rogers tormented our hero saying that the healing potions were being left unused, so Ratface was just helping him use them, as he continued his abuse of our hero. As if his face couldn't possibly get any worse, he tried a menacing Ratface, and continued to grill our boy asking him who he works for. Gidju continued to say that he came here alone, but all his words fell on deaf ears, since they used inspection on him while he was unconscious, so they refused to believe that someone like him could possibly come in this gate alone. Ratface was furious, thinking that Gidju was trying to make a fool out of him. At that moment, the guild master called Rogers back to eat a meal before continuing. With a swift kick to the gut, Rogers left, warning him not to cause a fuss. As our hero was left behind, he contemplated on what was happening to him. He had told himself not to be cocky, since he already realized how lacking he was while sparring with Tashik. Conquering this maze gate was a pipe dream, but he couldn't give up on the hope that maybe, just maybe, he could do it. But all his faith came from his borrowed powers, and all they had to do was simply take away his weapons, and he became powerless to do anything. At that moment, 2 kilometers away, someone was spying on his situation. The Girl Scout turned to her guildmaster to ask how she would like to proceed. Well, stay tuned to find out what happens in the next episode. Until next time.